ladies and gentlemen, to an all-new reaction and review. Tonight, guys, I'm checking out a horror film from 2014. That movie is American Guinea Pig, Bouquet of Guts and Gore. Now, as this title kind of sort of announces, this is an American spin-off of the Japanese Guinea Pig films, of which I have covered 4 of them. No, wait. No, crap. I'm sorry, 3 of them for this series. And those varied in quality in a big way. I'm going to tell you right now, guys, I don't know what to really think about this one. The back here gives us a real bare fucking bone summary. I am going to read this summary for you because it is that short. 2 women are abducted by a group of snuff filmmakers and brought into a hellish nightmare of unmistakable brutality, viciousness, and destruction that will leave every viewer shocked, amazed, and awestruck. A love letter to ultra-gore hounds the world over, the American Guinea Pig series is about to begin. We then have 2 blurbs. The one that's got me the most worried is from Gore Zone magazine, which says, "It will go down in history as one of the most fucked up endings in any movie." The last time anybody promised me a fucked up ending in a movie is when I watched Megan is Missing. So I'm sorry if I don't trust that somebody says that a fucking ending is gonna wow the shit out of me. Now, they claim that this is a love letter to gorehounds. I'm kind of worried going in because of the screenshots on the back. Now, as per YouTube's terms of service, I can't even show you these because of the nudity and because of the rampant gore. But the very first image on the back here is our killer, the one who has the bull skull mask, carving into the eye of what is obviously a mannequin. A mannequin who has a skin color that has not been on a human being on this planet since Michael Jackson was still walking around. There's no other human being with that kind of nasty shade of gray for skin. So they're carving into mannequins, and we're supposed to pretend that those are people. I'm hoping that maybe it looks better when it's in motion, and just maybe these stills are just not doing this film justice. I do not know. The only way I'm going to find out, guys, if this thing is any good at all, is if I shut up and I push play, and I'm going to do that right now. So, without further ado, it's time to kick back, relax, and check out American Guinea Pig, Bouquet of Guts and Gore. Alright, I have kind of a stupid question here. So, if this is supposed to be like snuff film, that means that we're supposed to be watching as these guys are filming this weirdo in the skull mask kill these 2 women. Yet, neither one of them is moving. Neither fucking one of them is making a sound. Neither one is reacting to anything going on around them. Are you telling me that they're still impacted by the gas from earlier? Or did they already kill them and this is just going to be a tape of these 2 women getting fucking butchered? I'm going to tell you guys right now, like, this whole thing would probably feel a hell of a lot better if this woman would, I don't know, struggle or scream as this guy is taking a knife and cutting off her fucking shirt. You know, I mean, it would probably make the thing feel a hell of a lot more visceral, you know what I mean? So, our filmmakers woke up our 2 victims long enough to drug them again. Again, guys, I mean, I'm not asking for much, but, you know, if you want your simulated snuff film to feel, you know, a little bit sick, you want that visceral feeling. You want that struggle. It was the shit that made the first Guinea Pig such an interesting film. This movie is just taking that and completely just fucking capping it. And I'm going to tell you guys right now, the pacing in this thing is fucking dreadful. We are almost 20 minutes in to a 72-minute movie, and nothing. He's cut off their pants, he's cut off their shirts, he woke them up, and then he drugged them again. That's it. I am fearing the worst right now, guys. So is this really it? Is this, honest to God, all that this movie is going to give us? No, guys, seriously, I was going into this, I wanted to see a really exceptional gore film. And we're finally getting gore, we're finally getting blood, but it's the same kind of piss-weak horse shit that was in Guinea Pig 2. Except it's not done as well. The special effects are not as good. The only thing I can say is that the Foley effects here are at least better, but that honestly isn't saying a whole lot. Honestly, guys, this thing here is less fascinating and gritty and, you know, all that other shit. It's more boring. Like, really, really fucking boring. So, wait a moment here. So, they went through all that effort to make sure that the first victim's limbs were all friggin' like tied off so that way then she doesn't bleed out before they even started cutting. This one here, the second one, this fucking like Christian victim, oh hell no, hell no. Let's just fucking carve right into him. Don't even have to worry about friggin' like tourniquets. You know, guys, consistency would be real nice here. Then again, making an interesting gore film would also have been nice, and you fucked up that with absolute gusto. I'm, right now, guys, just counting down the seconds. This is probably one of the dullest goddamn things I've ever covered for this series. So you're telling me that after all of that blood loss, after being skinned the fuck alive, having their face caved in with a hammer, this victim's heart is still beating? I'm sorry, movie. I am not willing to buy that. And your beating heart effect looks like shit, I should fucking mention. God damn it, man. I really, guys, was hoping for at least something decent here. And no. This thing is a colossal letdown, and at least the plus side is I've only got about 10 minutes left. Well, guys, that was American Guinea Pig, Bouquet of Guts and Gore, and before I go a step further, I mentioned that blurb on the back of this son of a bitch from Gore Zone magazine. It will go down in history as one of the most fucked up endings in any movie. No. Hell no. Fuck no. No. Have you ever watched a movie, you fucking simpletons? Have any of the brain dead, you know, retards over at Gore Zone ever watched a movie? That ending isn't fucked up. That ending was completely fucking expected. They telegraphed it halfway through the goddamned movie. And you're gonna tell me that that's one of the most fucked... No, fuck you. No, kiss my fat fucking ass. Jesus Christ. Alright, let's talk about the movie instead of talking about the idiotic bullshit blurbs they dumped on the back of here. I'd like to say that this is nowhere near as good as the original Guinea Pig. It's not. It just straight up isn't. Part of the reason why I liked the first Guinea Pig is because of how visceral the whole thing felt. All right, the movie isn't great, but damn it was at least watchable because it had just this visceral feeling. It was just torture, nothing but torture, and then you get your gore at the very end as they jam that needle into the side of her head and they poke out her eye. You know, it's all just, that is what made Guinea Pig great, is you had to wait for it. And it was just this psychological and physical torture all the way up until the very end of the film. It's a very satisfying torture film. This thing, on the other hand, would not know visceral feeling and wouldn't know pacing if its life depended on it. Alright, so our movie is 70 minutes long, not counting the credits, of which the first 20 or so have no gore at all. First couple of minutes is our two victims being stalked and gassed, and all of that's fine. And then there's the slow process of cutting off their fucking clothing. Apparently our fucking director has this big boner about, you know, starting on the right, never starting on the right, never on the left, so on, so on. And then there's this big speech. As our lead killer here in the bull skull basically gives out this speech, which would probably sound a lot better if it didn't feature the rather ham-tastic line of, "We are going to torture you to death." Said exactly like that, I should mention. It's probably the only time he shows any kind of emotion. It's the only time any of the actors show any kind of fucking emotion in here. Halfway through the film, I guess I should mention, I talked about the shots on the back earlier and how they looked horrendously fake. The reason, and again, I really wish I could show you these images, but I can't as per YouTube's guidelines. These were all shot with a high-def camera. All 4 of these images. You want to know what's nowhere in sight in this fucking movie? A high-def camera. The whole thing looks like it came out of the 80s. So everything is either shot with Super 8 cameras. They have fucking Super 8 cameras everywhere. And one VHS camera. The closest one we get to any kind of quality is the VHS camera. The VHS camera is also the only one that's able to pick up sound. I will get to sound in just a moment. So instead of using high-def shit you shot on set, why not actually put screenshots on the back? It would be far more honest, and it would make the shot with the fucking eye a little bit less shit looking, because it doesn't look quite as mannequin-ish in the film proper. I wish I could say that about every other shot involving involving the victims' heads, but really, that one where he's basically taken the straight razor and is sawing into her eye looks, well, it would have looked fine if the special effect involving the eye wasn't complete shit. But anyway, that's me talking about effects. It literally, guys, is just an hour of these 2 people being tortured. That's it. That's quite literally it. There is nothing else in this goddamn movie. And even Guinea Pig, Flower of Flesh and Blood had more, man. And guys, I'm going to tell you right now, that one there is where they got the title from here. Because, in Japan we had Flower of Flesh and Blood. In the U.S. we have fucking Bouquet of Guts and Gore. Because in Flower of Flesh and Blood, we had one killer killing one victim, and was waxing philosophical as he was killing the victim. We don't have that here. We don't have that kind of we don't have that fucking philosophy. We don't have the big ending where he goes and he opens up this room and it's all the body parts from all of his previous victims. Excuse me. None of that. It's just this bunch of assholes filming this snuff film for apparently a bunch of benefactors, one of which, apparently, at least according to one of the envelopes towards the end of the film, is Charlie Sheen, which was a really nice reference to the fact that Charlie Sheen watched Guinea Pig, Flower of Flesh and Blood and contacted the FBI thinking he had seen an actual snuff film. I'm going to tell you right now, guys, for all of the faults and failings I cited against Flower of Flesh and Blood, you'd probably believe that thing was a snuff film long before you believe this piece of shit's a snuff film. Alright, but yeah, guys, there really is nothing here in terms of story, but I'm not going to fault it too much on that. Because it is a simulated snuff film. You're not supposed to get a lot of story. There really isn't a lot of room for story. What you're really here for is the special effects. And I'll get to special effects in just a moment. I do want to cite acting. Acting is incredibly wooden from everybody. The one moment where there's actually some level of proper acting outside of Bull Skull here talking about, "We are going to torture you to death," is about halfway in. Well, it wasn't even about halfway in. It was after they had sawed the first 2 limbs off of our first victim, the man running the VHS camera begins to lose it, and he says he wants out. And then I guess we can call him the fucking the fucking director informs him that you have to stay. We have your kids, and you will do what we say because we have your kids. I just spoiled the ending for you, by the way, by mentioning we have your kids. Think about that. Anyway, but the acting there was awful. The acting was awful from both of them. From our fucking cameraman, I was like, oh my god, man, this here is sick. You guys are sick. I'm out. I'm putting more feeling into it here than he did there. And when the director's saying, you have to do this because we have your fucking kids, again, I'm putting more feeling into just saying it that way. Acting here is fucking dead and lifeless. The only time you will ever hear anything close to proper emotion is like the 20 times you will hear one of the other people who are running Super 8 cameras who will say fucking roll out because they have to swap the rolls on their camera, which I am going to say at least that is a little bit of fucking realism. Super 8 cameras couldn't hold much, alright? You couldn't hold much on a fucking Super 8 roll. I'm going to at least grant them that. At least they at least they work towards a little bit of realism there. So, yeah, acting here was complete shit. Again, I wasn't really expecting miracles here. Because, again, the fucking subject was a simulated snuff film. Now let's talk about the special effects, shall we? Besides the fact that they have the really cheesy fucking, like, throwaway that the reason why neither of them are moving and neither of them are yelling, neither of them are saying shit, is because they were drugged with the same kind of shit that was used in fucking Audition in order to paralyze your muscles. But they also then doped them up with a mountain of fucking LSD. I don't know why they doped him up with LSD. That was just one of the other things that was mentioned, is that we have paralyzed your muscles and we gave you so much fucking LSD. Of course, you say that 2 minutes after you doped them with it. And it wasn't just like LSD the way it's normally taken. They were literally just taking a fucking like eye dropper and dropping it directly into their mouths. So I'm going to assume that by the time you mentioned how much LSD you put in, they were probably already too fucking high to care. At least if we were to think realistically on this. Excuse me. Now, that's why neither victim moves. That's why neither victim struggles. That's why neither victim cries or yells. Is because they've been paralyzed and they're high as shit on fucking acid. So now, the stuff that might have made this interesting, such as, the victim actually struggling as you're trying to saw off her fucking leg, or perhaps maybe a little bit of a scream as you go and you peel the fucking skin off of a victim's arm, the way that you would peel a goddamned banana. The very fact that we don't get any of that, we get no feedback for anything, is a little bit bothersome, and it doesn't feel right. Now, that is more sound editing than it is special effects, but I just sort of thought I'd mention it here. Little tip, though, because Guinea Pig flower of flesh and blood, I know, was using a dummy as they were chopping off the limbs and everything. That there's kind of sort of a given. The thing is that it didn't look so obviously a dummy in that film than it does here. We have two victims, and when there's actually people on those tables, they look fucking realistic. All of a sudden, the dummies are much, much thinner. The dummies' heads are much smaller. The hair, honestly, isn't as natural looking. And really, guys, it just doesn't really work. And the fact that you're chopping off limbs and you're skinning body parts and you're this and this and this, it just doesn't look right. And ultimately, it's kind of boring. You can have tons and tons of blood, guys, and that's all well and good, but god damn it, your gore has to at least look decent. And when you're chopping off a foot, and the foot looks clearly plastic, Excuse me, you fucked up. You failed miserably. Your fucking Gore here was juvenile at best. And I hope and pray that this thing was made with almost zero budget. Otherwise somebody fucked up even worse. There is no way in shit this thing has any kind of a sizable budget. If this thing here was made for more than $2,000, I would be shocked. Alright? That is how piss poor the Gore is in this film. Alright, editing. Let's talk about the editing. So, we have multiple video sources, Super 8, because we have a couple of Super 8 cameras, and we have a VHS camera. That's fine. That's awesome. I don't mind the fact that we have that big quality shift when you're jumping from Super 8 to VHS. That's why they picked those. That way you can get that shocking shift in quality. Pardon me. The problem is that there's a lot of blank space in here. Specifically when somebody's fucking Super 8 roll runs out. Now, if this thing was being edited to be given out to benefactors who are apparently paying them to do this, you wouldn't have all those big, massive gaps. You wouldn't have these long pauses of black screen before we go back to more of the carnage and the torture and all of this. You would have edited that a little bit tighter. I would not be complaining about this, guys, if they did not very specifically in the film talk about how they're filming this to give out to benefactors, to give out to people who are paying them to do this. They are being paid to make a semi-quality snuff film. That means you don't put big empty fucking gaps in there. That looks cheesy and stupid as shit. Now, that's really my one huge... Well, there is a couple other complaints involving things like it obviously took them multiple fucking takes in order to saw through certain limbs. And when you cut from this Super 8 camera to this Super 8 camera to the fucking VHS over here, they don't match. So as our torture master is sawing through a fucking leg, the blade will be this deep in, and then this deep in, and then this deep in, and then it'll be like right back up on the surface from angle to angle, because the fucking editors could not be asked to make sure that everything matched up and seemed to flow a little bit. Excuse me. Also with editing comes the sound mix, and I'd like to comment that if you wanted this thing to feel like a real snuff film, guys, a soundtrack would probably not have been a good idea. And even though I understand that you can barely hear a soundtrack, it actually comes with the fucking movie. No, I'm not planning on listening to it, because what little music was in here was complete bullshit. It is essentially noise. It is the sound of metal scraping and all this other kind of shit. There's very little hints of actual musical effort put in, but really the movie would probably have benefited from none of that. But now we have to talk about the actual sound mix itself. I understand that for the sake of realism, you can only have the audio source that came out of the VHS camera, because that was the only audio source you fucking had. But it would help, again, because the very plot of this is that you're being paid to make a snuff film, that you sync up the audio from the VHS camera with whatever the fuck you're showing on the Super 8 footage. This is excessively noticeable in the 2-minute long scene where our bull skull masked torture master is taking a big fuck off set of bolt cutters and is cutting through this woman's rib cage. It's totally synced up fine when it's on the VHS, and you can hear it as it cuts through each and every fucking rib. But then when it cuts to any of the Super 8s... By the way, you actually have to watch. It's a very lengthy scene that could have been cut down a bit, as he cuts through every single rib on both fucking sides of the rib cage. But as he's sitting there and he's like snipping each fucking rib, you'll see that there's like a 2-second, there's maybe like a 2-second pause between between the actual snipping of the rib and the sound of the rib breaking. And this is a problem everywhere. Dialogue is off. Like when they wake up the first victim and then they fucking gag her and they tell her to shut up. The sound there is at least 1.5 seconds off, and it looks fucking shit. It really does. It looks awful. I will say that lighting here is okay. I can at least say that. The gore here would probably have been a little bit better if they had put a touch more effort into the fucking dummies instead of just taking real dolls and cramming them full of meat. Maybe, do something a little bit better. Ultimately, guys, this movie sucks fat throbbing dick. Not only that, it's fucking boring as hell. Guys, can I recommend American Guinea Pig Bouquet of Guts and Gore? No, I cannot. There is no no. Even if you are a fan of gore films, you're probably not going to want this. I know a lot of people who are into gore films, and they, like me, need to at least have decent writing to go with their fucking gore. This has none of that. If you really are just looking for about 45-50 minutes of just torture and gore with almost no substance, with almost no style, and looks cheap as fuck, then by all means check it out. But there's no fucking way I'm going to recommend this thing at any time. This movie is garbage. This, by far, guys, I struggled to stay awake through this entire film. No matter what your fucking gore film, you should not. The viewer should not be struggling to stay the fuck awake to get through your goddamned movie. This movie is pig shit. Alright? This movie's garbage. I could not recommend this to anybody for any reason. This is probably one of the worst gore films I have ever seen. And it's simply because of the pacing and the sound mix, the fact that the gore effects kind of suck and the dummies are crap. Guys, I have seen films with worse gore effects, but god damn it, none of them were a fraction as dull and lifeless and just shallow as this piece of shit. Oh my god. Excuse me. Now, American Guinea Pig, Bouquet of Guts and Gore, came off the Amazon wish list. The person who sent it in was Jesus with Bazooka 79. Please, guys, swing on over to his YouTube channel. Check out everything he has. Dude, I thank you. People were telling me that this thing was going to be a good gore film. It's not. And I would not have known if you hadn't have sent it in, and for that I thank you. You're fucking awesome. Please, guys, once more, head on over to his YouTube channel. His screen name is Jesus with Bazooka 79 Lives, if memory serves. He's currently on a backup channel. My God, I had hopes for this thing. Mind you, guys, my hopes were not high. I had set my standards ridiculously low for this episode, and this smoldering pile of shit couldn't even reach those low expectations. I need to go find a good gore film. And you know what? Because the ending wanted to reference children, I'm going to go find a movie that actually was shocking with its use of children. I'm going to go rewatch a Serbian film. Because at least a Serbian film is fucking entertaining to watch. Anyway, guys, with that, we come to the close of another reaction and review. Until next time, ladies and gentlemen, take care, and I will see you all in the near future. Peace.